What's up, everybody? I want to go ahead and thank you for taking the time to check out this video and listen to me talk about my thoughts on Stranger Things Season 2. And I will also address, some pop figures I would like to see based off of the season, which of course, there's a lot of potential there. So yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. And of course, remember, this is spoiler talk. So if you're watching this, that means that you should have seen all of Season 2. So for starters, I really do like that this season actually paid attention to everything that happened in the first season. I don't feel like they really left, a bunch of story threads dangling or anything like that. So, and I really especially appreciate that they showed us exactly what happened with 11 after the end of Season 1. I really did appreciate that. It was kind of simplistic the way, they set everything up, but again, at least they covered it though. So I definitely appreciated that. And what I also like that they did from as a leftover from Season 1 is going back and talking about Barb, because it always bothered me in Season 1 that, okay, Barb disappeared and not that many people were really talking about her other than, Nancy, of course, because Nancy is her friend, and of course Nancy felt guilty as well about Barb disappearing and, dying. So yeah, it was good that they actually mentioned Barb and we got to see that her parents have not given up on her and everything. Yeah, that was definitely appreciated. And then I thought it was cool as well that Dr. Brenner got to have a cameo, even though it wasn't, of course, really Dr. Brenner, because we know what happened with him, but still it was cool to actually see that character again played by Matthew Modine. So yeah, I like those callbacks to the first season and that they respected, the things that happened in the first season. So with this particular season, Season 2, because they've already established the characters and the whole situation, basically, they were able to really hit the ground running, and there was a lot more momentum in Season 2 than there was in Season 1, which was both a positive thing and a negative thing in just one way. And what I mean by that is I was really hoping to get to see the main characters, the boys, even though there really are, it feels like almost all the characters are main characters to an extent, but I still feel like the boys are really at the heart of the show, and I was hoping to get just a little bit more time with them just being kids and interacting with each other and having fun and things like that. And there was some of that, but they really quickly got caught up in everything that was going on related to the Upside Down and everything, so there really wasn't a whole lot of time for that. But that's kind of a nitpick. Overall, this was a really enjoyable season, and I have to say I think I did enjoy this more than Season 1, even though I still feel like the last half of Season 1 was very strong, maybe even stronger than some material from Season 2. But overall, Season 2 did have a lot more momentum behind it. It just felt a lot more exciting overall. Now, I do want to talk about these boys individually here. Starting off with Mike. If you have seen the 2017 version of It, you know that this actor is very talented. He has some charisma about him and everything, very funny. He didn't really get to play that in this season, really not even so much in the first season, because he's so caught up in pining after 11 and then of course being worried about Will, which is understandable. But I just feel like this character and this actor is underutilized to an extent. So I felt like Mike was almost kind of just there in this season, not really propelling the plot forward too much in any way. Yeah, it just kind of felt like he was there. And like I said, that's not putting down the actor, because I think the actor is very talented. But yeah, Mike maybe could just be given more to play off of in the future. And with this season, they did exactly what I was kind of worried that they would do with Will. Once again, Will was more of a plot device than anything. He really didn't have much character to him, which was kind of unfortunate. Now, of course, he did have to deal with the aftermath of Season 1 being called the Zombie Boy, because everybody kind of feels like he came back from the dead, basically, which in a way he almost did. So yeah, I still though, I just feel like Will was more of a plot device than anything. I mean, one good thing about the character though is seeing his interaction with his mom, Joyce, which I actually like Joyce a lot more in this season. I did like her in the first one too, but she was just so worried about her son. Like she was seeming crazy to everybody else, and then it was almost tough to even watch her at times because she was just so constantly worried. But in a way that's good, because it does keep you on edge. But I just like the character more in this season, that Joyce actually did get to enjoy life a little bit, having a new boyfriend and everything. And she was kind of overprotective of Will, but in an understandable way. She did give him a little bit of space and she was a really strong character to it towards the end of the season, when she would just not give up on him the same way she would not give up on him in the first season. Yeah, I thought that was really excellent. So like I said, I feel like Will is being used more like a plot device, but I think Joyce is a much more interesting character, and I just had to go ahead and bring her up, you know, in relation to him. As far as Dustin is concerned, Dustin, I think, was a scene stealer in the first season. You know, he's a pretty funny character. He just really stole the show in a lot of ways. And this season, I felt like some of his comedy was a bit forced. There were some things I didn't like about it, like him just overusing foul language at times, and especially cussing around his mom. That's something that always kind of bugs me within movies and TV series, where you see young characters cussing around the parents, and the parents don't even address it at all, which does maybe happen in some homes, but it kind of bugged me just a little bit. But and then Dustin also accepting like Dart as a pet and not really thinking about, okay, it's pretty obvious that Dart must have come from the Upside Down, and at this point nothing positive has come from the Upside Down, so that seemed pretty silly. Although I've been talking to friends about this recently, that, you know, very often when you're dealing with something horror related or science fiction related, it is silly mistakes that really do propel the plot forward. So in a way, it's almost like they had to do that, I guess. But yeah, it just made Dustin seem like he really wasn't thinking clear, you know, this season. But I still liked a lot of things about the character, including especially him kind of going along with Steve, and Steve being sort of like a mentor to him and everything. And at the dance at the end, I really do respect Dustin that he you know, he approached a young lady, he got rejected, and he tried again. And that takes a lot of strength, you know, especially for a young guy to do that, because being rejected is pretty rough, especially when you're young. So that really did make me respect the character a lot. But yeah, I hope they use Dustin in more interesting ways moving forward. I just don't want him coming across like he's not really thinking, you know, because he seemed a lot more intelligent in the first season than he did in this one. He did make that silly mistake of trusting Dart way too much. As far as Lucas is concerned, I liked Lucas a lot more in this season than I did in the first one. In the first season, you know, he was very jealous of Eleven coming around and sort of invading their group in a way, but he did show some growth within this season, I guess. But you could almost say that it was maybe unfair that he's trying to work to be diplomatic and bring Max into the fold because he was attracted to her. Maybe that was a bit unfair, but remember, we're talking about kids here though, so I understood that. But yeah, Lucas just I just felt like he had a lot more to do here, a lot more that was interesting because of his whole interaction with Max, and him and Dustin being somewhat competitive to get her attention and everything. And then also seeing more of Lucas's family dynamic as well, including his bratty little sister, which that actress did a good job as well. So yeah, I think overall Lucas was just a much more interesting character in this season than he was in the first one. Whereas in the first season, basically all the actor was given to work with was basically being aggravated all the time, which even if it's justifiable, I think when you see a character that's always aggravated, it's not really so entertaining to watch them. So yeah, thankfully Lucas had a lot more to play with in this season. And as far as Max and Billy are concerned, I think both of them were pretty good additions to the show. I like the way that Max was introduced through the arcade games, and of course that injected some more 80s style into the game. I mean, into the series. You know, we got to see those classic video games and everything. And Max, overall, I thought she was a pretty realistic character. You know, she wanted to be part of the group, and it's tough. You could tell that she really felt like a new kid at the school, basically. So I like the way that Max was handled. And then Billy as well. It's funny that Billy feels a lot like the way that we thought Steve was going to be in the first season, but then they kind of dodged that typical bully route with Steve. So Billy is much more that kind of typical bully, but at the same time, as you learn more about the character, you do understand why he is the way he is, especially when you see him interact with his father. So, and I know some people may feel like that's cliched. Oh, this is the typical bully that's showing out because he's, you know, things were rough for him at home, but that's realistic. That's the reality, you know. So, you know, cycles tend to repeat. So his father is very aggressive, obviously, and verbally abusive and things like that, and physically abusive to an extent as well. So you see that within Billy, and it's, you know, it may sound cliche, but again, it's reality. And I think it actually made Billy somewhat sympathetic, even if it, you know, some people will say it feels cliche. Like I said, I understand where it was coming from, and that actually made me feel for the character at least a little bit, even though he was a jerk most of the season. So again, as far as Steve is concerned, like I mentioned earlier, Steve really felt like a mentor. Like he kind of played that mentor role, and I really like that. Again, it shows some more growth for the character, and I really do like that he has dodged that, you know, being that typical bully. And I really did feel for him this season also, where Nancy got drunk at the party and was just basically downing him, talking trash and everything. And you know, that whole love triangle definitely did not work out in his favor, which again is part of reality. It's rough. You know, these are teenagers, they make mistakes and everything. So I hope though that moving forward that Steve is giving more to do. You know, I don't want to see that character fade into the background, because I think he has had a pretty interesting arc overall. You know, going from seeming like just a bully and his back and forth, you know, the whole love triangle thing with Nancy, and then, you know, sort of taking these kids up under his wing, like giving advice to Dustin and everything. It's been pretty interesting with him, so I do want to see more interesting happen with that character. And as far as Jonathan and Nancy are concerned, I do like that they had their kind of side adventure. And by the way, I'm not putting down the character Nancy. Like I said, she did get drunk. She was rough on Steve. But, you know, she's still mourning her friend Barb. It's understandable. She's dealing with things too. Again, these are not perfect characters, and I'm not really so interested in watching perfect characters. So I like that these characters are flawed. And I liked also that they showed, you know, some intelligence here. The way that they were kind of scheming to get information about what is going on within that facility. I thought that was pretty well done. And I like their interactions also with Murray Bowman, the conspiracy theorist. And I think Murray Bowman has some of the best dialogue in the season. I really liked him using alcohol as an analogy for what was going on, and how they should approach things with the media. Yeah, he was really well written. And I think by far these three had my biggest laugh of the season, which was of course related to a pull-out sofa. And I won't say any more about that. If you've seen the season, you know what I'm referring to. But that had me laughing so hard that I actually had to rewind a little bit, because I think I missed some dialogue after that. But yeah, that was really funny. So Sheriff Hopper, I've said this before on my channel, that Sheriff Hopper is one of my favorite characters that still has not changed. And I still feel like Sheriff Hopper is, you know, not a perfect character by any means. He does make mistakes, and he did make some mistakes with the way that he interacted with Eleven. But he's really trying his best. You know, he was trying his best to protect her and to help raise her up, you know, to give her some semblance of, you know, just a normal life as much as he could. And also, I like the fact that we have an intelligent sheriff here. A lot of times when you have police officers within movies and television, they're either they're basically morons and they don't know what's going on, or they are knowledgeable, but as soon as they show up on the scene, they get killed. You know, so I like that Sheriff Hopper actually is intelligent, and he's not perfect by any means, but he is trying his best. So two other new characters that we were introduced to were Bob and Sam. Okay, so Bob played by Sean Astin, and Sean Astin did a really good job in this. And I really did like that he was trying his best to be a good man for Joyce, and he really appreciated being with her. You know, he said he can't believe that he gets to date her. I thought that was so sweet. And then him also, you know, trying to offer advice to Will, even though he didn't know, they kind of didn't give him the full circumstances of what was going on, of course, because it is difficult to believe. And if he had known everything that was going on, of course, he wouldn't have given the advice that he did to Will. But he really was trying to do his best for them. In the end, he sacrificed himself, which I gotta say, there were a lot of things that were very predictable in the season, including him dying almost from like his first or second scene. I was like, yeah, he's not gonna make it out of the season. It just felt pretty obvious. He might as well have been wearing one of those red Enterprise shirts from Star Trek, because yeah, it was pretty obvious he wasn't gonna make it. But still, he was a pretty well played character overall. And then as far as Sam is concerned, I like that he was very different from Dr. Brenner, whereas Dr. Brenner felt like that kind of typical government entity that just could not be trusted. I like that Sam actually, he thought that he was doing the right thing. He felt like he was containing the Upside Down. He really was trying to be helpful. So yeah, I like that character, and he was very well played by Paul Reiser. I don't know if there's any room for him in the series moving forward, especially the way things left off, and you know, things being leaked to the media and everything. So I just, yeah, I don't know if there's any space for him moving forward, but he was well played within this season. So of course, gotta talk about 11. Something I did not think about that much is that 11, she really has been sheltered so much in her young life. Like, her childhood has pretty much been stolen from her, so there's a lot that she does not know. So I did like to see her interaction with Hopper, where Hopper was trying to teach her things, like giving her a word of the day and things like that. Yeah, I just didn't even think about that, but it was so interesting to actually see that. I thought that was pretty cool. And you know, the actress, she definitely had a lot of emotional things to play with this season, and it was cool to actually see her get to meet her mom and figure out what was going on with her mom, and then go off on her own adventure. I appreciated all that. We really got to see some growth with 11, and we got to see her become more of an actual preteen, you know, instead of just being this psychic girl. You know, like she felt more like a real person in this season, and I definitely appreciated that. Now, one thing that's kind of funny to me that I gotta point out, if you were to binge watch this season, and let's say you played a drinking game and you took a shot every time that her nose bled, you would wake up in the upside down, because I mean, it happens so much in this season. But I guarantee, I know why they did it, so this is really kind of a nitpick, but I know why they did that. And it is because of there's some geeky type of people that would complain if they were not consistent with it. So let's say they forgot to do it one time, you would have some people jumping online, well, why is it in season 2, episode 6, scene 3, that her nose didn't bleed when she used her powers? And it's like, just come on, you know. But yeah, again, they had to be consistent. So like I said, that's a nitpick, because I understood why they kept that consistent. But it felt like half this season that her nose was bleeding. And then, of course, with her side adventure, she got to meet 8, or Kali, and she got to meet Kali's crew as well, which I gotta say, they were the absolute low point of the season for me. I thought they were just such a corny looking crew, and I get that they, you know, with this season, they were trying to inject more of that 80s vibe into it, but I mean, just look at this crew. It's like a multicultural Burger King club or something, you know. It's ridiculous. It really did bug me. And that episode, you know, they had one extra episode this season, one more than last season, and this episode kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. Overall, I do appreciate it, because it did we got to see some growth with 11, so I understand that. And one great scene that they had was Kali basically showing 11 how powerful she could be. Now, I say that's a great scene, but at the same time, it did remind me of the scene in X-Men First Class where Professor X did the same thing for Magneto. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, well, the scene in First Class was way better, so maybe that wasn't a great comparison. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it definitely reminded me of that scene. And you all let me know if anybody else was reminded of that scene when they saw the scene in Stranger Things. But the character Kali, I thought she was an interesting character overall. And what she was doing, basically, she was definitely, you know, on a mission. So that was interesting to see. And of course, one of the lingering questions that we now get, you know, especially after season 2, is where are the others? You know, where are the other children that went through these trials and everything, and these experiments, that grew up, you know, have been growing up with powers? Where are they? Of course, we can assume that there are some that did not survive, but I have a feeling that, you know, we may see some more of them in the future, and I will talk about that some more in a moment here. But one thing I definitely liked about this side adventure that that 11 had is that it did address the fact that she has killed before, and, you know, her deciding whether or not she's gonna focus on revenge, or is she gonna move forward and try to live a somewhat normal life. Of course, she went with you know, trying to move forward, so I did appreciate them addressing that. So the Demodog, I'm gonna just say real quick, I prefer the Demogorgon. I thought the Demogorgon looked much cooler, but the Demodog, you know, it's fine. It's a, you know, interesting design when it comes down to it, and seeing them basically kind of hunt in packs, that was, you know, it was cool visually. So, but still, I do lean towards the Demogorgon more, excuse me, in terms of design. And the Shadow Monster, I like that things in the Upside Down are not completely explained to us, although I do have to say it would have been nice if somebody at least theorized, if one of the characters theorized why we saw Demodogs instead of Demogorgons in this season. You know, even if it wasn't completely confirmed, I felt like it should have been addressed at least. But yeah, I like that we don't know everything about the Upside Down, because it keeps the focus on the main characters, which is what this series really should be about. So yeah, I like that they keep the focus on the characters more so than what's going on in the Upside Down and what's it all about. Now, the big question, of course, at the end of the season is, where do we go from here? One thing I absolutely do not want to see, because I know there are going to be a couple more seasons, I don't want to see them introducing one powerful character or one character with powers per season. I think that would feel a bit corny. Now, if they're going to bring in more survivors from those experiments that actually do have powers, you know, that's cool, but I hope they're very careful about how they do that. Something else I want to see moving forward, like I said, I don't want Will to just be a plot device again. Please let Will actually be a real character moving forward, and you know, hopefully all the boys and all the new characters as well, they'll have some interesting things to play off of moving forward. I don't want any character used just as a plot device. And something else too that's really been hinted at, and obviously Joyce needs some time to grieve, because, you know, she was with Bob, and Bob basically sacrificed himself, and he did get torn apart right in front of her. So obviously, you know, there needs to be some grieving time there, but they've been kind of hinting at something between Joyce and Hopper, and I actually would like to see that play out, you know, eventually, because it just makes sense in a lot of ways. Hopper is such a protective type of person, you know, seems like he would be great for her family, even though she's strong herself. They could be very strong together. So, you know, you all let me know what you think about that and what you would like to see moving forward with the series. But overall, I gotta say again, season 2, I really enjoyed it. I felt like overall it was a very strong season, although I still feel like the last half of the first season was some of the strongest material thus far. Overall, season 2 I think was entertaining pretty much from beginning to end, even though it did have that one kind of rough episode where we met Kali and her crew. So as far as Funko Pops are concerned, of course there are some that have already been made. I think the boys in their Ghostbusters outfits, you know, those look great. They got 11, they got Joyce, they got 2 versions of Max. Max in costume, I can't wait to get that one in my collection. So you know, they've already done a couple of Pops, but there's definitely room for more. So I'm going to go into my ideas here of what I would like to see. So definitely want to see Kali, and I think it would be cool to see Kali with the butterfly in hand. Of course, you know, it's like a mental projection that she did for 11, but that's the way I would like to see the character design, just to give her something more unique. You know, I think that would be cool. And of course, she's got to have, you know, the purple hair looking nice. She could have a really nice hair sculpt as well. The Demodog, I think it goes without saying, they got to make a Demodog, and I hope they don't repeat the same chase, and, you know, basically don't do it just like the Demogorgon where there's the closed mouth and then there's the open mouth. I think they should just do the Demodog with the open mouth, leave it at that. You know, that's me personally. Or if they do 2 versions of it, make one maybe a store exclusive instead of a chase again. I just don't want to see that repeated. I think that'd be kind of boring. 11 and her punk rock look, you know, with the slick back hair and everything, I think that's an absolute must, and I would imagine that one's going to happen. And then if they did 11 with the triple-decker Eggo Extravaganza, I think that would be cool if she was dressed the way she was when she was at the cabin and she actually was holding a plate of that ridiculousness, that, you know, diabetes on a plate. I think that would be pretty funny as well. And by the way, if you've never seen a YouTuber named Benjin with Babish, you should definitely check him out. He basically does he recreates food from television and movies. So yeah, it's a pretty cool channel. As a matter of fact, I'll try to remember to link that particular video down below. It's pretty entertaining to see him make those crazy foods. And then Billy, I think they are going to do Billy, but I would prefer that they do Billy the way that he was dressed towards really, I think in the last episode where he was trying to look his best and be all charismatic and everything. It's just because it's so 80s and it's so cheesy, but it works though, you know. So I think that's the look that they should go for with Billy. Now, as far as Dustin is concerned, I think there's actually a lot of potential for Dustin as far as pop figure goes. I definitely want to see Dustin with Dart, and I am aware that Funko Ball, she is a custom pop artist. She has already done Dustin with Dart, which looks really cool, by the way. She did a great job with it, but I still feel like that this is something that Funko maybe should do eventually, officially, you know, because it was such a big part of the season, especially for Dustin. Okay, and then I also would like to see a battle ready Dustin, where he's rocking the hockey pads and everything, and he's getting ready to try to trap dart down in the cellar. I think that would be pretty funny as well. And then they absolutely have got to do Dustin with the Farrah Fawcett hair. You know, so I think that's a must. And I know that Hot Topic is getting another Stranger Things exclusive, so who knows, it could be one of these versions of Dustin. We'll see what happens. But yeah, again, Dustin with the slick hair, dressed for the dance and everything, that is a must. And they could do the other characters dressed for the dance as well, especially 11, you know. But we'll see what happens. Of course, if you follow my Funko news, you know, I'll keep you up to date on what other Stranger Things figures are on the way. Now I gotta say also, besides pop figures, I would really like to see 11 as a Rock Candy figure. I don't care if it's based off of season 1 or season 2. I would really like to have 11 as a Rock Candy figure, because I mean, she is essentially a hero with powers, you know, when you really think about it. So yeah, I think that would be cool. And again, you all let me know what you think about that. Just in general, let me know what you think about my ideas. Okay, so I do want to hear from you all. What did you think of season 2, especially comparing it to season 1? And also let me know, what Funko Pops would you like to see made based off of season 2? Like I said, there's a lot of potential. You know, they could make all of the new characters, which, you know, they may do eventually. But yeah, just definitely let me know what your ideas are. Not just the characters you would like to see, but how would you like them to look, you know, in terms of design. And that's gonna do it for this long video. You know, I tried to break it down as much as I could, but I probably could talk about Stranger Things all day. So thank you, especially if you took the time to watch the whole video. Make sure that you like this video. Please comment below with your own thoughts, like I said, about the season, and also about pops that you would like to see based off this season. And please subscribe if you are new. That's gonna do it for now. I will talk to you all again real soon, and you all take care.